Tape Deck Media.
My friend Dan, he's got a podcast, cause all comics need a podcast, and nobody had a podcast called The Art of Bombing. So Dan went out and bought a tape deck. Who knows why he bought a tape deck? Podcasts don't get played on tape decks, but Dan is from the 80s. So hey there, all you funny jerks, come talk to Dan about your work. Tell him all about your worst times. It's The Art of Bombing.
Hello, friends. Welcome to The Art of Bombing presents Between Bombs Callbacks, where Larry and I, Dan, call back our most recent episode. And in this episode, we are calling back episode 306 with Shanna Christmas. What a great episode it was.
There was a lot in there.
There was a lot in there. That was a great conversation.
It was like this. Look, I'm just gonna a little spoiler. This episode and the next episode, two of the best.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. The next week's episode is.
Oh my gosh!
I've been waiting for that one for a while. We've had scheduling conflicts, so I was very excited that I got the next guest.
Yeah, well, and like I said, both of these episodes are great, but like it's just the stories from both of these are heart-wrenching and lots of so make sure to tune in to episode 307.
Yep. And hopefully you've already listened to episode 306, because it was a fantastic conversation as well. She's fantastic. That was great. She had a lot of insight into comedy to offer. So yeah, definitely. And it's crazy. Before we start getting into the topics of this week, I do just want to mention real quick that this podcast has officially been going for 8 years. 7 because we took a year off, but officially it is 8 years. Yes, 8 years. We started in May of 2017 was when the first episode was released. Whatever you just did not come through.
But it came through on mine, so I'm sure the listeners will have.
Yeah, for listeners, because
I love that you can't hear anything that I'm doing.
You just look ridiculous. You're just holding your phone to the microphone. But the joy on your face is amazing.
That's what tells the tale.
Oh, that was amazing.
Hey, listeners, let us know if you could hear my sound effects.
Yeah, I would like to know, because I didn't hear it. I saw you go for it, but yeah, 8 years. That's crazy. It's crazy. But so just another quick. I know we just had our 300th episode last month, but still, big thank you and shout out to all the people that support and listen to this podcast every week. We wouldn't be here without you. Yeah, so awesome. Thank you for that. Yeah, awesome. But yeah, this week, like I said, she had a lot of insight. We had a lot of great topics. One of my personal favorite things to talk about, and that's because I hate them and I like talking about how bad they are, and that are bringer shows and how they give comics false confidence. Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yes.
A false sense of confidence.
Yep.
Bringer shows are so predatory. They're it's a freaking pyramid scheme.
It really is. It really is.
It is really gross. We shouldn't be doing them anymore. And yet,
I mean, at the end of the day, you could argue every show's a bringer show because you're trying to bring people, whatever, yada, yada, yada. But the difference is yes, you want to promote your shows and you want people there. But the big difference, if you're a new comic and you're not quite sure what we're talking about, I'm going to just get a quick rundown of what a bringer show is. A bringer show is where you, as a comic, a producer, booker who usually doesn't do comedy, they're just strictly a producer, puts on a show. They have a bunch of comics on the show, and in order to get your stage time, you have to bring X amount of people. Usually it's like 5 people, depending on what market you're in. and you have to bring 5 people. They usually charge $15-20 for tickets. And if you don't bring those people, you don't get your stage time. And you also, a majority, there are a handful that do throw a kickback to the comedians, but most don't. You have to bring 5 people, pay $20 a piece, and you don't get paid for that show. And that's why they're predatory, because they're getting 10 comics on a show to bring 5 people, 50 people, and they're not paying them. The producer just walks away with fat stacks of cash, and you get some, the opportunity to perform.
You get the stage time.
Yeah.
You get the exposure, but you're only you get exposure, but you're only exposing yourself to your friends and family.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is why Dan's not allowed back at Chuck E. Cheese. Anyway.
Well, hey, man,
that's such a hack.
Chucky had it coming, all right?
Chucky, hey, the rat asked for it. But like the when we say that brings false confidence, like I guess a lot of things. Okay, I'm gonna use a very vague example. I knew a comic who was a hometown boy, and he could pack a room with all of his friends that never left the hometown.
Mm-hmm.
He would pack that room, and then he could do half a premise and an inside joke and a little bit of like a story of like, hey guys, you remember Dan? And they'd be like, oh, Dan was crazy. And well, Dan does this, but Steve does this. And and this guy would kill. And then he would do like and people that weren't paying attention would put him on other shows. And
then
if they didn't have the 20, 30 people that showed up from high school, and he would just eat it and be like, but I don't get it. I'm so good. And that's an exact quote. Don't get it.
Friends, we just learned Larry's origin story.
We all know I left my hometown as quickly as I could. And I don't talk to hardly anybody from high school. So, but yeah, that was and come on, you've never heard me say the phrase, but I'm so good.
That's fair. Touché.
I don't like myself that much.
But you're right. That lack, given that false confidence, because what happens is your friends and family come there to support you. So even if you're terrible, they're gonna still be supportive, because that's that's kind of the idea. And then what ends up happening, you do these bringer shows, you think you're good at comedy or hometown heroes scenario, and then you go do a real show, and you do terrible. And then from what and just from this podcast, talking to other people, because a lot of stories stemmed from, oh yeah, I did a couple bringer shows and just thought I was the greatest thing, and then the next real show I did, that's their story, because they bombed so hard, and it was even more traumatic than just bombing at an open mic or whatever, because they have that, they think they're really good, and then they go realize they're not.
Yeah. Yep. And then you have to go back to the drawing board and figure out what you're doing. Do you really want to do this? Because you're gonna fail a few more times. You gotta have a thick scab.
Have you ever done a bringer show? Just out of curiosity, no judgment. I'm just curious.
No, I've never done a bringer show.
Well, you also you never really lived in a market where they're kind of a thing anyway, because a lot of the bigger cities is where you see these bringer shows, especially LA, New York. But
LA, New York, you don't see that in Chicago.
Chicago, there used to be a few in San Diego too that were kind of like that. Now, I did do one bringer show, but it wasn't. It was like an accidental thing, just because. Well, what it was actually, I didn't even sign up to do it. Like, I didn't work with the producer. The producer booked a show at a comedy club, and it was all these people were on it, and then people, because it was a bringer show, there was people in the audience, and then the producer, I don't know if he had a host that was supposed to be coming or what was going on, but nobody showed up to host it. And so the comedy club called me to see if I could come down and host this show.
Yeah.
So the only bringer show I did was because the comedy club asked me to host it. But yeah, and that's the other thing. That's the other thing with these bringer shows. A lot of times what they do is they'll have like one major headliner that they will pay, and then they have everybody else on the show that they don't pay that fills the room for the headliner.
Yeah.
That's another thing you see, especially in LA, New York.
Hmm.
But
Yeah, and Dale, that's a whole episode unto itself.
it
Um,
really is. It really is. We could go on and on about this for days. So I would just say this. If you're a new comedian, and obviously in a new comedian, you shouldn't be expecting to get paid right away because that's just doesn't happen. I mean, it's nice when producers pay everybody on the show for sure, but as a new comedian, I recommend they say you should say yes to everything. That's not totally true. Say yes to most things, but if you have to bring a bunch of people and there are producers that will, if you don't bring those people, even if you bring three people, they'll cut you off the show and now
yeah.
so don't do a bringer show. Say no to the bringer show. It'll be
Say,
okay.
say no to the bringer show.
Say no to the bringer show. In
Oh,
fact, I think we just got the subtitle of this callbacks episode. Say
yes,
no
say
to
no to
the
the bringer.
bringer.
Yeah. I kind of segues into though the idea because you guys were talking about this starting over in a new scene,
Yep.
and I'm dealing with that currently, and I know you
I've done it
recently.
multiple times.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I've done it multiple times
yes, you
because
have.
I've moved around a little bit. I'm running from the law in case anybody's curious, but don't tell. Don't narc.
don't
No.
don't narc. It's like, uh, that tells you what type of listenership Between Bombs has. I can say I'm running from the law. Nobody's gonna give a damn.
Nobody's turning me in because if they turn me
Nobody.
in, then they don't get no more between bombs
That's right.
or
That's what it
bombing.
is. It's it's anyway. Nope. Don't go.
Renegades. No.
I found it.
You know who listens to this podcast? Dirt bags and scoundrels.
Felons. Felons.
And if you're offended that I called you guys dirt bags and scoundrels, don't be. That I meant that with love.
With
And
love.
with love. And there is a train right now that is so loud. Can you hear it on your end?
I did. I heard a little bit of the choo choo.
Yeah, I that's the bad part about living right next to a train track. And apparently in this town, there's so many trains that go through every day. I did not realize that this town had so many trains go through until I moved to this apartment.
Yeah.
And like every couple hours, it seems like there's a train going through. But anyway, but our topic that we're getting trying to get to.
It was starting in a new scene. And like I said, I'm that when you guys were talking about it, I was like, because it really for me right
Yeah.
now, like that's the thing. I know a bunch of people in this scene,
Yep.
but most of the people I know are other performers that aren't producing the
Hmm.
shows.
Yeah. At best, you hope that they'll give you a good recommendation to
And
like the local producers and stuff.
it's all of them have. Like once they were like everybody was like, "Oh, you're living up here now." All right. And then did a bunch
Yeah.
of, and I've gone out to shows now where my friends have been on it and they're like, "Hey, grabbing people and like put him on your next show." And that's been helpful. And that's one of the things you do just I mean, when the idea of grinding through open mics after
Again.
yeah, and it's like I know I have to get out there, at least get out there and
Yeah.
try to be friendly and do a few. But the
You
important
gotta
thing
show
is,
face for sure.
yeah, but the other important part is just getting out where the comedy is happening
Yep.
and
Just
introduce,
being in it. Yep.
yep, and having people, your friends introduce you and introduce yourself, and there's people that are that I don't know, but I know I have mutual friends with, so I've gone up and chatted with them, and it's just being present until you can start getting that stage time.
Yep.
And
And I would
then
also say, just to add on to that, if you're, if you're a comic that moves to another scene and you're kind of going through this, I recommend, like what Larry's saying, you got to show face, go to the events and do the things, and even go to shows that aren't even like open mics. Go to book shows
hmm
and just support the scene. And along with that, be humble. Doesn't matter where you are in your career. Don't be a jerk about it. Like, because just because you might be a big shot in the scene that you're moving from doesn't mean nobody's going to necessarily know who you are, whatever. So yeah, you
100%.
keep that. You got to have that humility and all that jazz.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's
and
something
that's
I've learned because it's like, and I don't like anybody that knows me knows that I don't really have an ego when it comes to comedy. I try to stay pretty humble, but I've had that where I'm just like, some people have definitely rubbed me the wrong way when they talk to me, and I'm just
yeah.
like, and what I found, and I don't say anything. It's not like I bring it, go on Facebook and post about it or anything like that. But it's like one thing I've noticed is people will treat me a certain way because I don't go in and be like, well, I'm so and so and I do all this, I just go, I'm a comedian, whatever. And I I've noticed that people will treat me like an open micer and then they realize who I am and then their whole perception changes. And then it's like, oh wait, a minute, last week you were kind of treating me like you're kind of a dick. And
Uh-huh.
now you know what I do and the things that I've accomplished, and now you want to be my best bud.
Yeah. Well, that's like last night I went out to a mic with our mutual friend Jeremy Plum. And I'd been to this mic before, and the normal hosts are really cool. They had a guest host. I'm not going to throw him under the bus. I'm not going to say his name, but he brought me up on stage in such an insulting way. And I get it's an open mic. I get he doesn't know me. I get also my name is Larry Smith.
Yeah, it's pretty basic. Yeah, for sure.
But he brought me up in such an insulting to the point that even like other the other comics who didn't know me are looking over at me like, why is this guy saying? And I went up and thanked him for bringing me on stage as if I was a how do I say it, a make a wish kid that had just a make a wish kid that had just committed multiple felonies or had just committed a multiple murder or something like. I mean, just I was like, you brought me up like, okay, and and dude just was looking over. He's like, whatever. And I was like, I will backhand your your beautiful head of hair right off your head. Um, but I was just like, all right. And I made a couple other jokes, got the laughs, and then a couple other people played off of what I had said. It was cool, but like it's also what I like about being up here in the city is you can leave an open mic early and people
Hmm.
just assume you're going to another open mic.
Yep,
And a
yep,
lot of times I am.
yep,
Last night I looked at my buddy and I was like, I'm going home.
yep,
I'm all done here.
yep. And I want to add to this because this is a great thing too. When you move to a different scene, or even if you start comedy, you are gonna experience people being jerks to you and things like that. And instead of getting mad and trying to start drama, the best way you can get even with them is be funnier than them.
Yeah. Yep.
Just keep going until you're funnier than they are. That's the best way to get
Yeah.
even with anybody in the industry that's a jerk to you.
Success is
Be
the best
nice.
revenge.
Exactly. Be nice, stay humble,
Yep.
and then just get funny.
Well, and I only
But
say
do it
that.
because you want to be funny, not because you're
Yeah.
trying to get revenge.
You know what?
Don't do it out
L-
of vengeance.
let spite fuel you. Let the hate
So,
flow.
sometimes spite and hate have to feel you.
Oh my god. Sometimes that's the only thing that gets you going. But let's talk about the last thing that you guys touched on it.
New trend. It's a new trend.
It's a new
Naked
trend.
comedy.
Naked comedy.
Yeah, I mean,
Why?
I barely like doing comedy in my clothes.
I right? I don't like I don't want to why? Why are you
I thought public speaking, we were supposed to imagine the crowd naked. I didn't
they
realize they were supposed to actually be naked.
I I well you Corey Stewart. My buddy Corey
Yep,
Stewart up there.
our buddy.
Yeah,
She's
right.
a friend of
Yeah.
mine too. But yeah,
I
you're
was
right.
friends
It's just
first with Corey. She was my friend first.
okay,
Um,
fine.
we did a lot of stuff in St. Louis together.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, I thought so. Uh, so stupid. But she recently did one of the naked comedy.
Yeah, there's a very
No,
popular show in Denver.
yeah.
That I think it's called Bear. Uh, I think that's the name of it. I could be
Yeah.
wrong. There's a couple different shows that are like that because there's like the Naughty Show here in Denver where comedians are performing while there's somebody doing knots, like like aerial, like being strung up in
Oh,
rope and stuff. And then
Jesus
there's
Christ.
a naked show, and yeah, but there's a lot of shows like that. And I think the one that Corey did actually, the audience has the option of they can be nude too.
Yes. Yes, and they're
That's
asked to
yeah,
if they're going to be naked, they have to bring a towel. So
yep.
that they're not just bare on a chair. But
Yeah, bear on a chair.
I
That should
I
be the name of the show. Bear on a chair.
bear on a
Bear on
chair.
the chair.
Bear on the chair. That's actually that's the name of my one man show.
Bear on the chair.
Bear on a
You're
chair.
gonna give so many wrong
or
ideas,
or
or you just found your niche.
hey, I think I did. Honey, we've got to go to the leather store.
Well, we should probably start wrapping up. But I
Yeah.
would you do would you do a
No.
naked show, bear show?
Nope.
No. Say
Nope.
I don't know if I could do like I could perform like in my underwear. Like I think that's as close as I would get. I don't think I could go completely nude. I still
I
I still have even though I've been losing weight and all that, I still have like self-conf like not necessarily like yeah, self-confidence, but like body issues where it's just like I'm just
yeah.
like I don't like the way I look.
Yeah.
Naked.
I
I am
I
getting
have
more comfortable in my body. I will say that the older I get.
that's yeah.
But
That's great.
even so, I have a small
I
ding ding and I don't need other people to know.
That's the soundbite for this episode. That's it. Oh, Dan is laughing so hard.
I'm laughing at your reaction to what I
Oh,
said. Oh my God,
oh.
that was so funny. I wish we're gonna have to start putting these out, the
Just
videos out, just because of that. Like the reaction of your face, your reaction to that when I said that. Oh,
I'm gonna go ride a Lime scooter until I get that image out of my just I'm gonna put in like sad synth 80s synthwave and just ride around on a Lime scooter just, through the alleyways of Chicago.
well, now that you guys all know my secrets, that I'm running from the law and I have a small ding ding, I think it is time to go. Now that the world knows.
Now that everybody knows. I don't even want to close the show. I just feel like we should just
We
cancel.
just stew in this. Yeah, we should just
Just
call it. Oh man. All right. Well, hey, thank you for listening. You know the drill. Do all the things. Follow the podcast wherever you listen to it. Subscribe. If you're on Facebook, join the Facebook group. We're talking about starting up a Discord channel as well. That's all stuff in the works. But to stay updated, make sure you're in that Facebook group. All the links in the show notes. You can go to our link tree, find everything there. If you want to support the show financially and you don't want to listen to ads and you want to get early access, because now that we've kind of got our system going, we have the ad free for subscribers. For $3 a month, you can join. There's a button probably wherever you listen to this that says support. You can join that for $3 a month. You get all the episodes ad free and early. They come out a day before regular release. So, two really cool things there. Otherwise, you can go to Buy Me a Coffee / Art of Bombing. Throw in a little tip if you want, and you can go click on one of the links for merch. That's another good way to support the show. Tell your friends about it while you're wearing an Art of Bombing t-shirt. Because maybe you're at an open mic or you're out hanging with your comedian buds and they see that shirt. They're like, what is the art of bombing? And then it's a great conversation starter. So go do the things.
go do the things, guys.
Go do things. Yeah.
Go buy a
And
t-shirt.
buy a t-shirt. Do it
Put
all.
put it on your dog.
Yeah. At the merch store, you probably can get a dog costume. Probably. I mean, who knows?
Just
I mean, you can get anything. You can
just
get
get
a
a
hat.
medium. Yeah, put a hat on your dog. Put Put a shirt
Yeah.
on. Put a sticker on your grandma.
Yeah, do all the things. Just spread the word. That's what we need right now.
Yeah.
We're trying to grow this show. So spread the
We're trying
word.
to
Tell
grow
everybody
this
about
show
it.
the way Dan's trying to grow. Never mind. Anyway.
And until next week, we love you. Thanks for listening. Have a great week, friends.
I'm fired.
This has been a Tape Deck Media production. Thank you for listening.